All right, what's up, everybody? I wanted to share today about my experience with what was diagnosed as Crohn's about 2 years ago, and just some of the crazy things that happened during that diagnosis, and where I am 2 years past that, and what I've done to kind of help me. So we'll take it back to kind of summer of 2021. I was starting to I had a property a little bit further up from here. I was working on, it was about 3.5 hours from my home. So I'd make this crazy 7-hour round trip commute in a day, work for like 5, 6, 7 hours up at this property, and then I would drive home. And, I started noticing that I'd have really low energy at the end of the day. Not even it's like 3 o'clock. I got up there, I've done a little work, and I'd just be kind of doubled over, when I don't know, I was using a chainsaw. The chainsaw is doing the work, not me. I shouldn't be out of breath fucking using a chainsaw. I'm an active person. I still work out. Now I work out a little bit more, but at the time, was probably doing some cardio and biking and a little bit of strength training, definitely 3 or 4 days a week in the gym doing some kind of strenuous activity. Certainly not a bump on a log. So, for me to be out of breath after just doing putting a table together or something like that just seemed really, really weird. But I didn't really think anything of it. It was fucking hot. There's a lot of bugs. It was steamy. I just thought it was the summer heat. As time went on, I started to notice that a little bit more. It was a little bit more weak. And by, Thanksgiving time, and this is all still post-COVID, so anytime you would I'd feel a little weird, we'd be taking a COVID, this was in the height of COVID still kind of. I'd be taking a test as a COVID, so that's where my head really was at. And by November of that year, about 6 months later, I really noticed at the end of the day, I was starting to get a fever, and I was getting all these crazy night sweats, didn't know what the hell was going on. My fever would disappear during the day. I'd go to work my day, and then by the end of the day, I'd have no energy. This happened for about a week, and I went to get checked out for COVID, and, some kind of nasal infection or something, and I just thought, let me mention to the doctor that, my stomach is a little bit funky, and I've been having some weird pains kind of all over the place, and maybe that's something that we should check out. They drew some blood work. That came out that I had an infection, and they said, you should probably go down to the ER and get a CAT scan, check that out. Went down to the ER, and they found it was a 6 centimeter, essentially a little garlic clove inside my intestines, where my small intestines connect to my big intestine. I think it's called the ileum. I haven't looked at this stuff in a while because, it hasn't affected me in a few years, and we're going to get to that. So, I had this big abscess. They're like, you have some kind of irritable bowel, kind of Crohn, something. We're not really sure. We're going to keep you here until that gets smaller. So I spent Thanksgiving and 5 days in the hospital, kind of getting the infection under control, and then, started seeing my primary doctor, was feeling better, and, I had a lot of time to think while I was in the hospital and reflect on, okay, how does this dude who runs this farm-to-table restaurant, how does he wind up in the hospital with some kind of fucking stomach issue? And it was kind of actually easy to see. 2020, obviously stressful year for everybody. A lot of changes, a lot of things happening, people, loss of life. We were very, very busy, so just trying to keep up with how busy it was. I didn't slow down during COVID. I got busier, and, there was a point when COVID started, I didn't have a day off for, 6 months to a year because it was just so insane. Anyway, I could see there was added stress. During that time of added stress, there was a lot of added work. I'd be working till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, getting home, and eating takeout late at night. Because, right, I've worked all day. I've done all this crazy stuff. Now it's time to, I I got to treat myself. So I'd promptly order, what would probably be enough sushi to feed 3 people. My wife would eat 1 avocado roll. I would eat the rest, and we would go to bed promptly after. And, so I'm sitting on this giant stomach full of and it wasn't always sushi. It was, whatever it was takeout 4 or 5 nights a week, and, going to sleep right after that. Never really been a big drinker, love to smoke a joint, but, the alcohol was never a really big contributing factor to it. But sleeping, barely sleeping because I ate a massive amount of food right before I went to bed, and my stomach was full and I didn't even give it a second to digest. Plus, a lot more driving in the car up to this one space, and the same thing, would work all day, not eat all day, then come home at night after working on this property all day and do the exact same thing. So 1.5 years worth of that in my head. I thought, all right, tons of stress on me, trying to navigate the company through a nuts time, bad sleep, bad eating takeout, not even just, you can eat some food late at night before you go to bed. It shouldn't be too big of a thing. But when you're eating, just not, processed random takeout from here and there all the time and then going to bed, I saw that as being a big problem. Was drinking a ton of coffee. Was eating dairy, was eating bread, stuff that I don't normally eat too much of. I don't eat a lot of cheese, just naturally. I'm not lactose intolerant or anything. But, I started to put together this roadmap of all right, these are the things that I feel like contributed to this. And I think if I battle this back, if I change these things, this is when it started happening. When I started doing these things, let me take these things out of the equation. And I bet that I can, my primary doctor agreed that in 6 months, we should be able to get this thing under control. Have to go see a specialist, have to get a colonoscopy, go to see the specialist, and, the guy that the ink's not even dry on my intake paperwork. And I try to explain my story about, hey, this is what I think about why my stomach is the way it is. What do you think about, diet changes and what I should eat? And he was pretty much like, yeah, kid, that's cute. I'm the doctor. You're going to be on medicine for the rest of your life. I've never seen a case of Crohn. This is pretty much certainly Crohn's. I've never seen a case of Crohn's, be controlled with just diet. And, we're just going to have to put you on some medicine once we get you out of the colonoscopy. So obviously that wasn't the vibe I was going for. Don't mind a colonoscopy. You got to do what you got to do. We got to check out inside. We got to look at that abscess. But it didn't make any sense to me that if we changed my diet and all the, it's not brain cancer. It's not, it's not skin. It's just not, it's my stomach. So how could not changing the things we put into my stomach and the inputs, how could that not change how I felt in my intestines and everything? And how could that not help, repair the microbiome and, make things be better? So I obviously didn't go on medicine and didn't listen to that doctor and started working with my primary. And, he and I agreed that, we could probably, let's just give this a 6-month course and see where we're at. And, it's 2 years later now. I am drinking a little coffee here and there again, but I didn't have coffee for about 1.5 years. I try to sleep really well. The things that I've changed are, I really don't drink much at all. I didn't drink much then, but, I have 1 drink a month one drink every other week when, my wife and I have date night. I do go to sleep really early, between 8 o'clock and, 8:30 and 10. I fall asleep when it gets dark out. I try to get a solid 7 or 8 hours every night, uninterrupted. I try not to eat 2-3 hours before bed. That way things are digested and, I can get a solid night's sleep. I try to wake up early and do, the big thing with my workout regimen is, I definitely switched over more to some heavy strength training. Working all the body parts, big deadlifts and things like that. It's helped me out here on the farm, throwing stuff around. But yeah, the big things were, just elimination of processed food and takeout. if my general rule of thumb right now is if I'm not eating my own food, I'm probably in trouble, and I should work out 4 or 5 times a week. And whether that's a busy week and it's farm season and my workouts aren't as hard because I know I'll be working up here and it's just a little 20 minutes on the treadmill just to get the blood flowing. I try to do something at least 5 days a week. But those simple changes of eating my own food, making sure I'm not eating processed stuff, taking out all like the shitty things of my diet, every once in a while, if I'm having some kind of issue going on, it's typically because, I ate, the wrong things for a couple of nights, and at the same time, probably not sleeping well or something like that. But, 2 years later, not having the issues, the abscess hasn't come back, and, knock on wood, my Crohn's is somewhat in remission. So I just thought that it was super crazy to be diagnosed with this and to be given a stack of papers, and not even one of the papers gave you any kind of suggestions about diet or what to eat or any kind of lifestyle changes that you could make. Now, I'm not saying that this can work for everybody, and I'm not even saying that I've cured or beaten the Crohn's, but I think I'm doing a good job at it. And it just seems crazy that, hey, no, you're going to go on medicine, don't worry about what you're eating. Something about that just seems so wrong. So interested to hear anybody else's experiences with this and just how you've maybe battled it on your own and or worked exactly with the doctor to do it. So that's my story. I hope sharing that was beneficial to anybody out there, because there's definitely more than meets the eye. I've been watching too many Transformers with fucking my son. When it comes to your health, it's not just what the doctors say. I think they're throwing you in a general bucket a lot of the times, especially when it comes to stomach disorders. If they can't explain your stomach, it's autoimmune, IBS, and that's it. But at no point are they hey, let's take a look at what you're putting into it, at least from what I experienced. So find a doctor who cares about your stomach and the things that you're putting into it if you're dealing with stomach issues. And think about, a few things, 3 super easy things. The amount of stress in your life. I definitely changed some things at work to make life less stressful. The amount of sleep in your life. When are you going to bed? When are you waking up? And what you're putting into your body. Try to go as not processed as you possibly can. I like a fucking Dorito every once in a while and a hot dog at the ballpark. It's not going to kill you. Same thing as we always say here with Farm to Table. I'm not fucking growing bananas and avocados. Take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that this was beneficial again, and please share your stories with the same things.